You are listening to
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 606. I'm your host, Tricky Mick, alongside with me, the man, the myth, and the legend. It's Alex.
Matt! Where are you, Matt? Fun fact about Tricky, hates spiders, is totally cool with scorpions. Go figure.
They don't relate.
They're both creepy bugs, that's why I asked.
Yes, but one has 8 legs and a furry face with 20 different eyeballs.
And lacks a fucking piercing tail that can stab you with venom.
Yes, but I could run away from a scorpion, and if he hides...
What, are you getting outrun by spiders on the daily, sir?
No, but they're little creepy bastards that like go behind the walls and then appear above your head and shit. That's scary. That's fuck.
How big do you think scorpions are, sir? I mean, some of them are probably big, but I mean, in general.
You know, I try not to think about it.
And now you will not be able to stop thinking about it.
I'm not the one that's obsessed with scorpions right now. That's you, sir.
Well, luckily, neither one of us had to deal with them, so.
Yes. All right, so for the second week in a row, Yield is having computer issues, so he will not be joining us. But I am going to a blast from my personal past. I've known this man for, it's got to be 17 years. Benny, how the hell are you, dude?
I am doing awesome, and it was really cool to hear from you. I know that we've kind of been in the same circuit for a very long time, and it's awesome to see that you're still at it, and I'm doing great. How the hell are you?
I'm tired, man, and I'm frustrated. Disclaimer, my landlord is still upstairs, and they are currently arguing, so I anticipate there being a lot of banging and noise and whatever the hell they're doing up there.
That's not arguing, Tricky.
Oh, no, they're arguing because they're screaming at each other in, I was going to say Belarus, but I don't even know if that's a language. Bulgarian? I know it's 2 different countries. Don't get on me. Yeah,
Bulgaria is definitely a different country.
I don't know.
Do they speak Belarusian? Is that what they speak in Belarus?
Shut the hell up, all right? I
what
don't
do you mean, shut the hell up? I was just trying to...
I don't know what language they're speaking. All I know is they're speaking a language.
You don't know it, but you know they're angry, and you know they're fighting.
Yes.
It's really...
And
shit's probably flying, too.
I think cursing and yelling
hold on,
is universal.
Belarusian and Russian are both considered official languages of Belarus, but only 23% of the 9.67 million speakers... population speaks the former, so it seems that Belarusian is the predominant.
Fun fact: I thought you were making up Belarusian.
No, Russian. Sorry, Russian is the is the predominant, and Belarusian is the smaller.
Well, like I said,
percentage.
fun fact. I thought you were making up Belarusian. I didn't know that was an official language. Is that
Nope,
I thought
it's a
that's like
language.
Spanglish.
No, that's just
we
Adam
know
Sandler
Spanglish
movie
is
tricky.
fucking real. Yeah.
Anyway, so they're arguing, doing upstairs. I don't know what the hell's going on. All I know is they done fucked something up because now I have no water pressure in my shower or my kitchen sink, and I still don't have hot water. So I don't know what they're doing, but it seems to me they should not hire a professional because the job would have been done and shit would have been fucked up. But how you gentlemen?
Enjoying this lovely shitty weather. At least by me.
Just trying to stay inside as much as possible because it's been raining for. I'm surprised we haven't needed an arc to deal with all the rain we've been getting over the last 2 weeks. But yeah, making it through.
All right, so before we it's one of those days. Before we start the show proper, I've had like no sleep over the last couple days, just so everybody knows.
Tricky, this is not different than any other day we recorded.
No, normally I get like a good 5 hours. Now I've gotten like a good 2 hours. But Benny, before we start the show proper, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on the show is because you are launching a new project, and I wanted to give you some time to pimp out your stuff and tell everybody exactly what you're all about. So the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, so I mean, as I mentioned, we kind of in the same realm in the gaming industry with the journalism, the reviews, things like that. I am currently the senior editor at gamingage.com. Been there for about 8 years now. And, I've done reporting at shows, trade shows, conventions. I've done a variety of podcasts over the years. Most recently is part of my brand, which is called Press for Time. So the idea behind that is just I'm a guy that has a regular job like most of us and has a passion for games, collectibles, and music, and want to be able to, put out efficient content when I have that time. So I'm always pressed for time. So the idea behind it is I have a YouTube channel that does a variety of segment shows. So we have a weekly podcast show that's audio and video, but we'll do other segments, one called The Toy Closet, where we just pretty much talk about nerding out in toys. We have spoiler casts and a variety of other things that we do. And most importantly for me, we have interviews with people in the gaming industry. Most recently, a game that's very near and dear to my heart, this game called Cookie Cutter. I was able to have the director and artist on my show, so that was a really awesome experience. And yeah, just growing on here. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitch, we're on YouTube. You can find us at The Press for Time with the number 4 instead of FOR.
Anything else you're doing, or?
I mean, I could be here all day, and I don't want to waste everybody's time, but I'm also a musician. I do all the production on all of our stuff. My music's called Neon Arcadia. Do a little bit of electronic music, do some composition, might be working on some games that can't talk about right now, but a lot of other things in the future.
I feel I can't talk about this right now. I'm playing a game right now that I can't tell anybody I'm playing, but I can tell you within a week they're going to be playing it in a beta.
Sweet.
So
is it Foam Stars?
No, hell no.
I had to say it. Come on.
I mean, I can't be mad at you. I mean, I know Daryl's upset that they're hindering the gender, but, something you have to deal with. Wow, Alex, I thought you were going to jump in there.
What, are you playing like the new WB game?
No, it was just... One of our community questions is, why does WWE keep hindering the gender?
Maybe because gender, despite being a giant, is very mediocre in most of things that come to wrestling.
You know who else is mediocre? The Baltimore Ravens. They lost today.
Oh, they're not mediocre. Give them a break. They did not play their best game, but they were dominant all season, and the Chiefs are clicking at the right time. The Chiefs were stumbling in the middle of the season, but now they've kind of found their groove, and they're playing as well as they have all season at the right time. And so that's the teams that generally win. But you can't tell me that you're happy to see the Chiefs go to the 4th Super Bowl in the last 5 years. Nobody wants to see that.
I'm definitely happy to see more Taylor Swift.
Go on the internet. There's plenty of pictures.
I'm joking.
Well, I'll say you can't go on Twitter now. Apparently, you can't even search her name for whatever reason. Topic
Really?
for a whole nother day.
I didn't know that. We'll maybe we'll release something after the show. Do a little post-show Patreon content. I don't know anything about that. Matt's in the chat. Hi, Matt. Matt's still on his cruise. He goes, "How is it the moment I tuned in? We're talking about wrestling and sports." I was just making a joke in an allusion to our community questions later.
We just know our audience, Matt.
Well, I got yelled at earlier for being told we shouldn't talk about wrestling on a gaming podcast.
Well, if you want to talk about wrestling, then just save it for after the show and release it as something separate. Anyone who wants to listen to it can listen to the wrestling bit.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into our updated trophy counts. I am level 899, total trophies of 29,786 with 825 platinums. Alex?
I am level 501, total trophy count of 9,687 with a platinum count of 166 and 165. That's not right. You didn't update these.
I just assumed Yield did.
Yield can't even turn on his computer, apparently. How's he going to update the trophies?
Well, Yield was in the agenda earlier, so I just assumed he was updating trophies.
Well, I don't know my trophy count exactly, but I know I have 167 platinums and 166 games. So I did get a platinum trophy since we last chatted.
Yeah, my count's off too. All right, I'm just going to assume all these are off. Well, the only one that should be accurate is Betty's because he just updated his as the show started. All right, so apparently I am level 899, total trophies of 29,792. So there's a 6 trophy difference. Alex, if you want to vamp for like 2 seconds.
I'm going to guess that because I'm still 501, but I'm going to guess that I'm 9,690 because I got the platinum trophy. Well, no, I would have needed 2 so 91. Because I would have needed 1 trophy to get the platinum trophy in Evil West, and then I got 2 in the game that I'm currently playing. So
you are.
I think I've gotten.
You are 96, 91.
Yeah, 96, 91. Yeah.
Okay. Benny, if you can help me and just do yours out of order so I can look up the other guys.
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, I am probably the low totem pole, which is okay. I'm at level 334. My total count is 4,695, and I have a whopping 2 platinums that happened within a month period late last year.
You have 2 more platinum trophies than our usual co-host Matt, who has 0 platinum trophies. So,
and Matt in the chat says his count is fine. Yield.
I'm sure Matt was thinking his count is fine except for those 2 platinum trophies.
Yield is level 505. Total trophies of 9976 with 181 platinums. And our man from across the pond, Sid, is... trying to type this with one hand is just throwing me off right now. I could type with 2 hands, but I'm smoking a cigarette, which I know everybody's against. Why do I keep hitting D instead of S?
Why do you keep smoking inside your own home?
We're not going to talk about that. And Sid is level 883, total trophies of 26,499 with 828 platinums. And Matt, his count's the same. He's level 220, total trophies of 1,309 with 0 platinums in 0 games. Wow. Okay.
Well, he has been on a cruise, so it's not like he's going to be earning trophies on there.
It's not, even if he was home, he wouldn't be earning trophies. All right, so let's get into what we played. Benny, we'll start with you. This is not necessarily just PlayStation related. You can talk about anything you've been playing. What have you been playing, sir?
Ultimately, trying to finish Alan Wake 2 because I just I want to be able to immerse myself in the last couple sessions. I just haven't been able to enjoy, just juggling the kid and everything like that. I don't know if it's blasphemous here, but I play a lot of Fortnite and I play a lot by myself. So I do that to get my Metal Gear skin and all that other stuff. but I do play a lot of Cookie Cutter, as I've said before. I've beaten it. I'm playing it a second time now.
All right. Alex?
We got listeners who play Fortnite. Ain't nothing wrong with Fortnite.
Wait.
Me,
Hold on a second, Alex.
Uh-oh.
I just got to ask Benny. Build mode or no build mode?
No build.
You're the man. Okay. All right. It's acceptable now. Alex, go ahead.
No thanks for the build.
it's acceptable however you want to play it. No one's forcing Tricky to play Fortnite.
No, just the build aspect of Fortnite is what drives everybody off.
It's too much.
Or if you're Ben, every part of it drives you off.
Anything popular drives Ben off.
What's that?
Anything popular drives Ben off.
Like I said earlier, finished up my platinum run for Evil West. Not long after we finished last week's show, I just had one collectible to get left in the game. Picked it up, got my platinum trophy, and I pretty much said everything I need to say about that game. But finally glad to wrap up the platinum trophy. Started playing A Plague Tale Requiem, which is one of the other free games for PlayStation Plus this month. We're getting close to the end of the month, so if you have not grabbed those yet, go make sure that you add Evil West and A Plague Tale, and then Nobody Saves the World, I think is the other one. Go add all those to your library, just in case you forgot. But, I mean, so I've always heard positive things about A Plague Tale, and I'm not far into the game, so my comments are based on, a few hours of gameplay. But I've gone through the first 2 chapters, and I don't think, at least going on what I've played so far, it's my style of game necessarily. I'm not saying anything like bad about the game. It's just this is not a game, knowing the gameplay style, very stealth heavy. You are kind of outmatched by the enemies in the game, so you kind of have to gain an advantage by surprise. You're more passive in combat than I really like to be. It's like going from like playing God of War Ragnarok and Evil West to playing A Plague Tale. It's a kind of a very stark shift in how you approach combat. So not my favorite type of game. I've gotten 2 trophies, so I'm going to try to finish out everything because, it's not a hard platinum to achieve based on what I've read. It's just kind of a slow go at the beginning. So hopefully it picks up a little bit. I know you do get other weapons besides a slingshot. You get knives, but the knives are one use only. So once you use them, they're gone. But hopefully there's more to the combat that I learned. So I don't want to feel helpless in a game. I don't like feeling helpless. I don't play games to feel that way. I play games to feel awesome and the badass. So, like with Evil West, you gradually get stronger and stronger over time, even though, start out, you're pretty formidable anyway. But I just hope that I don't have to be so reliant on stealth and so overmatch the entire run through A Plague Tale, because that would kind of sour things for me, just because it's not the style I like to play. But, the first 2 chapters, a lot of story setup, getting to know the characters and what's going on. So I kind of understand how it's a little bit slower paced at the beginning. Although also the main character, Amicia, always lamenting about how she's worried about Hugo. If you played the games, you may have noticed that. But I guess it's a sister-brother relationship. And Amicia's looking out for Hugo. Hugo's sick. If you play the game, you'll learn more. But just her constant, I'm so worried about Hugo. Every second that goes by, it's like, okay, we get it. You don't have to say it every 20 seconds. I'm getting annoyed here. But other than that, I'm hopeful that the game turns it up a little bit, because it's just been a little bit of a slow start that I really want to have. And I'm not really always looking forward to get back into the game. I'm kind of like just slow going it. So that kind of shows you I'm not as interested in the gameplay as I would like to be. But yeah, that's all I've been playing.
All right, and I have been playing Division 2, obviously, going into the first week of the... Okay, I don't know how I was going to phrase that. There's 2 more weeks left in the season. This is the first week of the global event. Next week's the last week, and then hopefully we get the announcement for the new season. And I'm very looking forward to the new title update, because they're labeling it Project Resolve, in which they're going through and overhauling a lot of systems and fixing a lot of mistakes. That obviously it's being called Project Resolve because they're resolving a lot of issues with the game. So I'm very looking forward to that. The next season, I'm very looking forward to. As you guys know, I've been reading the Division books, and I'm now into the 3rd book. and it's I'm trying to remember the author's name. I think his name is Thomas Parrott. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But the third book is really wrapping up, really combining the story of the game into it's in the book. So it's really cool to see the two interacting right now, because normally the books don't interact. They normally just tell like separate stories. So that's pretty damn cool. Obviously, I'm playing The Last of Us 2 Remastered. Love that game. But I got to the point of the game that, for me, was the slow part of the game. So I took a step back from that, and I tried to go back to God of War Ragnarok, because I've been trying to get that platinum on the 4. Got to the part of that game that I really think the story really slowed down. So then I got challenged for the extra life by the Bearded Nerd to platinum Batman Arkham City on the Return to Arkham series. So I've been playing that, and pretty much staying with that. But that game, the more I play that game, the more I want to be playing Asylum, because Asylum is such the better game. And I know
we will have to disagree on that one, sir, because
Benny,
I think Arkham City is the apex of that series.
Benny, which is better, Asylum or City or Night?
Definitely not Night, for sure. It's tough. I like the first
Tricky,
two.
did you really just ask, if I could bring in the conversation, what's better, Back to the Future 1 or 2 or 3? No one's going to say 3.
I actually, and this is a hot take, I think Night was better than City. I'm getting an evil death stare.
Everybody disconnected.
I'm getting an evil death stare. I mean, if Alex had his camera on, I'd probably get this death stare from. All right, Asylum or City?
I'm crestfallen. I'm flabbergasted. Benny, continue on. I interrupted you.
No, it's cool. I really enjoyed both the first two games, but I feel like I ended up spending more in City, believe it or not. I just, I don't know. There was just something more to the story for me. Like, Arkham was great to, just get that foot in the door, but I wanted more, and I feel like it expanded upon it a lot better.
Okay, let me just clarify my comments here. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying City is a bad game. It's a phenomenal game. But it's I think Asylum had better side stories with all the different villains. This one, it feels like it's all over the place, and every time I turn around, there's something else to do, which is not a bad thing, but it's like I can't focus. Like, I'm dealing with Zaz, I'm dealing with trying to get all the Riddler trophies. I got Joker in my ear. I got Hugo Strange talking about Protocol 10. I got Azrael running around. I got to find him. I just got caught by Mad Hatter. And then the traversal in City, where I know, it kind of went open world with it. I'm getting annoyed with the gliding all over the city, because if you guys remember the map for Arkham City, there's a U around this central part of the map. And if I have to go from the west side to the east side, I have to go all the way around. And it just seems like the gliding is just off. And especially I'm trying to do the AR training. It's like, okay, you have to do this, but you have to fly through this small little thing. And if you barely touch anything, it's like, it failed. I'm like, come on. There's one mission where I got to dive bomb and then do a 180 as I'm trying to scope through. So I have to stop my dive enough where I don't hit the ground, but then I have to glide back up another 100 meters. It's like, what the hell are we doing with this stuff?
So you're playing Top Gun for NES. Got it.
Yes. So it's
we've had many references to Top Gun. We actually had one reference last week during the show. So that game left quite the impression on our generation.
Right? Seriously, man.
Tricky, was Harley Quinn in Asylum?
Yes.
She was?
Yes.
Okay. But she had a bigger expanded role in City.
Yeah, because spoilers for City if anybody played it. Harley Quinn takes on a bigger role because Joker's dying. because of his actions in Asylum. So I actually just posted a picture in the Facebook group where Harley Quinn was tied up and gagged, and I said, I know I should release her, but I don't want to. And I said, if you know, you know.
Tricky, not the right time to be making that joke, man.
Why?
Especially talking about wrestling earlier. Tricky, you look confused, my man.
I really am. I'm not understanding the correlation here. I don't know.
All right. We won't go any further. But one of the aspects that I will say far and away was better in City was the boss fights. The villains and the boss fights in City were far better. I mean, Scarecrow segments were cool in Asylum, but other than that, everything was just kind of like fine. But in City, you get, the end boss is Clayface, which he comes out of nowhere. You get Solomon Grundy. You got Mr. Freeze. It's just like wham, wham, wham. It's just all great.
Yeah. So I'm Protocol 10 is like 5 minutes away right now, if that makes any reference to if you guys remember the game. All right, so let's go on to the agenda. Our first topic is coming from IGN, and this is where we missed Matt because he puts all the highlights of the notes in this. Written by Wesley Yinpool. I said it correctly this week, Alex.
Well, we do like to get people's names correct, so that's great.
Yeah. Sony's PlayStation 5 firmware 24.01, and I'm not reading the rest of the numbers, added new features to the parties upon its release today. The update, which weighs in at 1.18 gigabytes, lets you see lists of parties you've joined in the past via the Parties tab. The PlayStation website revealed. From there, you can restart a party by selecting from the recent list. Elsewhere, Sony has updated the PS5 for the Pulse Explorer wireless headbuds, which IGN gave a 7 out of 10. And as always, there was improvements to the system software and performance stability. I can go through real quick. With the update, you can now use the sound equalizer feature with the wireless earbuds. You can also now use the side tone feature, which makes it easier for you to hear your own voice in voice chats. When you have a Pulse Explorer wireless earbuds nearby, a notification will now appear to let you connect to them quickly, and then you can switch quickly between your PC to your PS5 through this notification, and that's basically it. But apparently, what they didn't tell us is that it also has now blocked the Cronus Zen. Now, Benny, I know you know what a Cronus Zen is. Alex, do you know what a Cronus Zen is?
If only you could see the confused look on my face.
Okay, so a Cronus Zen is basically a device that people use to cheat in games that you connect between the PS5 or the PS4 and your controller, which allows things you shouldn't be able to do with a controller to now happen on your console. It's basically a console's version of installing mods like aim assist, stability, rapid fire, all that stuff that you normally can't do on the console, and now allows you to do it like you can on a PC. So you up to date now, Alex?
Yes.
Okay. So, also written by Wesley Yinpool. This week's PlayStation 5 firmware update appears to block the Cronus Zen device, which lets players use macros and modify the controllers. It's a controversial product, which some say gives players an unfair advantage. While the Zen is used in many competitive multiplayer games, it's perhaps the most prominent in Call of Duty, which has crossplay across PC and console. According to its website, Zen is used by over 500,000 people. Call of Duty players have used unauthorized third-party software such as XIM and Cronus Zen to benefit from the likes of aim assist and reduced recoil when using a mouse and keyboard for years. Activision said in 2023 in its anti-cheat tech Ricochet would detect their use and bans would follow. I get an ad every time I do this. Now, following the release of the PlayStation 5 firmware, Cronus has issued a statement addressing the block and warned users not to update their console while it works on a fix. Quote, we are aware of an issue with Zen and the PS5. As of January 24th, the console is now prompting everyone to update the version, blah, 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 blah. If you do, Zen will no longer connect to the PlayStation 5 without disconnecting. However, this update is not mandatory. Simply skip it and everything should still work with the Zen 2.2.2 update as expected. There's no current timetable for a fix, so please don't be offended if you're directed to check this notice when asking for any kind of estimated time of arrival. It can be 24 hours, 24 days, 24 months. We won't know until we've dug into it. So, Alex, I'll go to you first because, not a shot at you, you're the least knowledgeable about the Corona Zen. Are products like the Corona Zen, do you consider them cheating or do you consider them leveling the playing field?
You know, I don't deal with anything super competitive. Like, I'll play some multiplayer games online, but I don't do competitions or anything like that. So, I mean, how much of an advantage does this thing really give somebody?
I can answer that in a roundabout way.
All right. Well, do your best.
Since this update, online activity in Apex, Call of Duty, Fortnite, they've all dropped by 30%. I play a game. I mean, Rocket League is the game that I play online, and that's cross-platform, so I can play with PC folks and, you know, people on the Switch, people on Xbox. Corona Zen also works for Rocket League, just so you know.
What's that?
Corona Zen also works for Rocket League.
Yeah, but I've also never felt like the PC community had such a huge advantage over me when it comes to Rocket League. Like, I feel like I know for certain games like keyboard and mouse look better, shooters in particular, but I feel like I'm good enough on the sticks, or at least the PlayStation controllers, where I've been playing for long enough that if my skill equals that or is better than that of a PC player, like, their keyboard and mouse aren't going to do anything for them compared to me. Or, you know, I mean, some of them might be also using controllers, but I know that shooters are one area where there is a discrepancy in, you know, how fast you can react and whatnot. But, I mean, first of all, if you really enjoy playing a game, why would something like this stop you from playing a game? So why was this drop just people who just wanted to, you know, are they feeling now that they can't compete because they play on console, or are they just like, now that I'm not winning as much or whatever, I'm not playing? Like, did you really enjoy playing that game? I don't know. I guess I really don't have a good answer, because I don't. I think you should still play the game, so I don't understand for the reason for the drop, unless you're just losing every round and you're like, well, I'm losing every round, I'm not going to play this game. But I've just never been involved in a game scenario where someone playing on PC was just wiping the floor with everybody. I've just never been in that scenario. I've heard about it. I've never experienced it, though.
Full disclosure, I own a Corona Zen. But,
well, guess who's fucked?
But I've never used a Corona Zen, and I haven't used it in, God knows, years. I've never used it.
He's crossing his fingers behind his back, folk. I can see it.
I've never used it online. I've only used it to circumvent some single-player games. Like, you know, manipulating the economy in a world where I didn't have to go out and grind, you know, 1 million in-game currency. I just popped on the cheat and, okay, now I can go buy what I need. So, Benny, I'll go to you. Corona Zen. Is it cheating? Is it leveling the playing field? Combination of the two? How do you feel about it?
I'm very in the middle with the idea behind it, primarily due to, like, the point you just made about single player games playing on offline, your own time. What you do is on you. You know, it's obviously frowned upon no matter what if you're not earning your way through any game. So I've never used this particular device, but playing on console and seeing some of these players, you know, a lot of times if I'm getting sniped and then I'll look back at the video, these guys are trick shotting, and a lot of times you can tell when it's a PC player, and a lot of times, like, I'm getting shot through walls, and that's the other side of that. Like, you see people that are potentially using that or other tools for it. so I can see why somebody would be kind of hungry to use it. But in a competitive way, if you're looking to bypass and actually like grow as a competitive player, you have to try to get good at the game on your own. I'm not an amazing Fortnite player, but I take pride in if I win, I'm going to earn it. That's just my thoughts on it. But I've seen people, even on TikTok, like I'll just randomly see Fortnite player like streaming live, and they have the exploits, and the character just is constantly spinning in circles. And then you'll see lines, and you'll see like stick figure grids all the way down the map, and then like they'll get in the car, and the car will hover over there, and then they're just they don't even have to try to shoot them. And to me, it's a funny to see, but to experience it, I don't get the enticement on it, because I feel like that's an instant ban. At least a report from somebody if you're not shooting just bots.
Right. I kind of alluded to it a little bit. Like, there's no denying that a PC player, let's just talk Call of Duty, and it's a game I don't play, but let's just talk Call of Duty for a second. I've always felt like a PC player has an inherent advantage over a console player, because mouse and keyboard, there's no denying it, is superior to a controller in the aspects of movement and shooting. So they put things like aim assist onto the consoles to help you, track your shots a little better with a controller. I don't really think it equals out, but again, I don't play that game, so I can't really say that with any like confidence that that's what it is. That being said, if you're using some kind of third-party software, whether it be a macro or something like that on a PC or a ChronoZen on a console, if you use it in a competitive manner, I say, that's 100% wrong. But if you're just using it to manipulate your single-player game, I don't have a problem with that.
Because let me bring up this point, Tricky, because you talked about trying to level the playing field of PC. But what if you're just playing in the PlayStation ecosystem and you're playing against other people on PlayStations? That would give you a decided advantage over people who are playing on other PlayStations that don't have them.
Well, like I said, if you use it in a competitive scene, then I say, that's 100% wrong. But see, this is where like I get wishy-washy in what I'm saying, is because if I'm playing in a competitive scene and I'm playing against PC players, then I think, not that it's right, but that it kind of equals the playing field a little bit in comparison to that PC player. But then, you got that thin line of, okay, am I too much of an advantage now, or am I, because if I go into a Call of Duty Warzone lobby and there's 150 people out there, just throwing out numbers, let's just say 75 of them are PC players, the other 75 are console players. I'm not going to know when I roll up on random other person whether or not they're a PC or a console. So if I'm shooting a console player, it's unfair. But if I'm shooting a PC player, I think, I'm leveling the playing field a little bit. So it's a little wishy-washy, and it's a very thin line between the two.
Well, and the company said, hey, don't update your console because it's not mandatory until we figure this out. Clearly, Sony's now targeted this thing, and if they find a workaround, they're going to squash it again.
Well, but again, this is. I think it's pretty interesting that they didn't. Like, we only know that the ChronoZen got blocked because Cronus came out and said it. PlayStation's never said, yes, we blocked it. We only know,
if you're PlayStation, Sony, you don't want to. If you're trying to block this thing, you don't want people to know this exists, because I didn't know this was a thing. So by coming out and acknowledging it, people are like they'll look into it, and be like, oh, what's this thing? Oh, it does this.
They're gonna give them free publicity. Yeah.
Yes, but okay. I know you guys hate it, but let me play devil's advocate here. If you are Sony and you are blocking this thing, isn't it somewhat a good PR to come out and say, hey, we're helping to stop the cheating? That would not put it on the developer to put an anti-cheat into your software to stop this. Hey, we're actually helping Apex and Call of Duty stop the cheaters. Wouldn't that be good PR?
Because you've got something that people bought that now they can't use. You kind of look like the bad. You mean to some people you look like the hero, but to others you're going to look like the villain. Because, like you said, look at the drop in numbers for certain games online.
That's true. All right, let's move on to our next topic here. Also coming from IGN. Spoil, a lot of these are going to come from IGN. Also written by Wesley Yidbull. Wow, Wesley's getting some good press on this show. Voice actor discussed canceled Damian Wayne Batman game. There was an update to the story, so we'll get to that in a second. But the original story says WB's Montreal's Damian Wayne Batman game was canceled following a series of leaks that revealed too much about the unannounced project a voice actor who worked on it had said. In a Twitch livestream, voice actor Josh Keaton said he almost played Damian Wayne in the Batman game, but it was canned after the details emerged online. Keaton, who voices Warcraft's character, which I'm not going to say, Aldurin Wren, which I definitely just butchered. Said he'd taken part in 3 or 4 sessions as Damian Wayne before the project came to an end. Quote, it was a bummer, but they leaked everything, the whole plot line, not only the enemies and the villains and the rogues gallery, but also the concept art for them. They were doing such a different take on so many of the rogues gallery, it gave away everything that was different about the game, so it kind of sucked. The leak killed the project. The leaks totally killed the project. Then he responded to another question by saying, quote, it was not going to be in the Arkhamverse, totally different thing. And then IGN reached out to Warner Brothers for comment, and the update says that according to Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier, WB's game, Montreal's Damian Wayne Batman game, was not canceled due to the leaks. So now we have 2 conflicting stories. And I'm going to go with the voice actor over Jason Schreier because I can't stand fucking Jason Schreier. There, I said it. But Alex, we'll go to you first. I know you're not big on superhero games, but would you have played a Damian Wayne Batman game?
I don't know who the fuck Damian Wayne is.
His son.
Well, that shows you how much I know about Batman.
Batman
and probably no.
Batman and Talia. Was it Talia? Talia had a kid, and it was Damian.
Okay. Well, I did not know that. I now know that, but still, like, I've enjoyed some of the Batman games, but overall, I'm not. I prefer Marvel to DC, and even the Marvel games I really haven't bought into. So, yeah, I guess just my superhero apathy carries over. But especially with the character Damian Wayne, like, I don't care. I don't care about Bruce Wayne's kid. I don't care about Batman's kid. Like, I'll play as Batman. Everyone else, I don't want to play as like the other Robins. I'll just play as the Robin that I grew up with in the Batman movies, like Dick Grayson. But, as far as like it's sprawling out to family members, it's not really something I care to play. And I know, it's hard to be disappointed about this game because I never saw the leaks. I never saw anything about it. So it's kind of hard to be like, other than kind of shrug it off and be like, well, shit happens. Because, there was never any built up excitement for this game because this is the first I'm hearing about it.
All right. I will say that very simply, just quick and to the point, I don't want to play a Batman game if it's not Bruce Wayne. Benny, your thoughts?
Yeah, not a fan, and especially after the last couple of nonsense games that we're kind of seeing. We're potentially going to talk about one, but Gotham Knights did nothing for me, and I think no, not a fan, and I feel that, and I'm a Robin fan through and through. Growing up, Dick Grayson, and but like, I think it comes to the point where we fell in love with Batman. We fell in love with a certain voice actor, rest in peace. And it's going to be hard to replicate that again. But I think people want more of that. And for people taking over the Batman mantle, I'm not a fan of that, even in the comics. I don't need Commissioner Gordon to be Batman. I don't need anybody else to be Batman.
Or Nightwing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if I'm going to get another Batman, I'll take Batman Beyond because it's like truly a different, essence of the character. But I don't know. I mean, I definitely would have taken a look at it, but I feel like it would have been something that would have felt lackluster, in the end result. I don't feel confident that it would have been a representation of like the Arkham trilogy in any way.
Did you?
And Tricky, look at this way. Gotham Knights. They gave that away for free, and I still didn't play it. So, I mean, I don't want to play as all these peripheral characters. There are certain people that kind of have that spotlight in a comic series, and you want to play as that character. We've been spending decades playing as Batman, and they are like, hey, play as Batman's son. Well, you may want to read about those characters and the lineage in a comic book, but playing them as a video game, like all of a sudden trying to I don't want to say pawn that off on people, but just be like, hey, we want to make some more money, so we're just going to try to, instead of making another Batman game, we're going to do it with the son. It just doesn't carry as much weight.
So, Benny, I got to ask you, did you finish Gotham Knights?
No, I played maybe 2 hours of it, and I just got really bored of it.
Okay.
Not a fan.
So, I'm going to spoil Gotham Knights for everybody, so I'm sorry.
I think Gotham Knights spoiled itself for everybody.
Okay.
I mean, I know the whole ending and everything already. Not a fan.
Come on. That was such bullshit.
It was all a cop-out, every part of it.
Okay, so, Alex, I'm going to tell you the end of Gotham Knights, and I'm going to tell the audience as well. So the whole premise of the story is you're playing as the 4 sidekicks because Batman's dead. So I kind of knew the entire time playing that game, Batman was not dead. There was something going on. He was not dead. Come to find out, he wasn't dead because Talia revived him in the Lazarus pit. Literally 20 minutes later, he sacrifices himself and kills himself. Like, what the fuck?
It's not my Batman.
Wow. He's like,
that sounds terrible. That sounds like a good way to piss people off.
It really did.
It did.
It was the whole reveal. Batman's alive. Yeah. Go on without me. Boom. And he didn't even have to kill himself to save the world. It's like the reason he killed himself didn't even make sense.
Sir, go on without you. I will go on without this game. Thank you very much.
All right. So, keeping on with the DC news, written by Taylor Lyles, coming from IGN. Suicide Squad's Kill the Justice League free DLC includes a playable Joker. Joker, the infamous Clown Prince, is confirmed to not only appear in Suicide Squad, but also be a playable character. Announced in the third and final developer diary series for Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Rocksteady Studios has revealed the post-launch content plans include its upcoming game ahead of its release date. The studio detailed the roadmap for the first season of DLC, which will be released sometime in March. Some additional content in the season includes a new boss fights, enemy variants, a new playable environment based on Joker, 2 new episodes with activities, missions, and strongholds to partake in. 3 additional seasons of Suicide Squad's Kill Justice League are planned, according to Rocksteady. Each season will introduce a new playable character and 1 new playable environment, among other things, such as weapons and activities. Okay, so clarification here. This is not the Joker we know. This is a Joker from a different dimension. So this is because anybody that played any of the previous Arkham Knights knows that Joker is dead. So this is not Mark Hamill's Joker. This is an entirely different Joker.
Yeah, but they can easily retcon that in the future.
What's
Joker
that?
being dead?
Well, Joker is dead. This is in the Arkhamverse.
You don't think they're going to bring that back and like make him alive again at some point?
Well, we kind of cremated his body, so I don't think he's coming back.
Hello, the reboot. They can reboot it.
I was gonna say, what if they sprinkle his dust into the Lazarus pit?
Right. But anyway, so I mean, I this game doesn't have a lot of good publicity right now. I'm still debating whether or not I'm going to pre-order it because technically I could play it in 2 days. I think it's a cop-out to make Joker the first DLC character. Got to be honest. Like the whole point of starting Arkham Knight was like, okay, we're finally gonna get a Batman story. It's not gonna be Joker as the villain. And what'd they do? Joker was the villain. Joker was in that game the entire time. I'm like, go away. I love Mark Hamill's Joker, don't get me wrong. But I want to see Batman go against somebody other than Joker. Even in City, it's like, oh, we're not fighting Joker. Oh, yeah, we still are. It's not Hugo Strange, it's Joker.
But it wasn't Joker.
It was Joker. Well, you know what I mean.
The final boss of that game was not Joker.
It was a Joker, Clayface Joker. It's still Joker.
But you still fought Clayface in the end. Like, you were fighting Clayface. You were not fighting Joker. You were fighting Clayface. Like, the actual form of Clayface.
Yeah, I know that. But you still had to deal with Joker the entire game.
I mean, didn't we just talk about how we want to play as Batman? We didn't want to play as the ancillary characters. And now we're talking about, we want another villain. We don't want the main villain, Joker. I mean, you're allowed to feel that way, but
I mean,
you got to understand that if people want Batman, they also want Joker. It's like when it comes to comics, I mean, there are a few relationships in comic books, maybe, Professor X and Magneto, but I don't even know if that comes close to Joker and Batman as far as adversaries. So.
No, but give me Black Mask. Give me Two-Face. Give me Penguin.
Well, you couldn't even get Black Mask in Origins because it was Joker.
Exactly.
Spoiler alert.
Oh my God.
Two-Face, I think Two-Face was in City naturally, but I think Penguin was was one of the built-in characters in Arkham City. Two-Face was a DLC character, wasn't he?
No.
I can't remember. One of them was added later.
No, Two-Face is at the game from the start.
Was Penguin also too?
Yes.
Okay. I remembered someone being part of DLC. But
so was Mr. Freeze. You play the game partly as Catwoman, but she was playable.
There was also a DLC for Catwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about main game, but there was, they had Harley's Revenge as a DLC pack for City. But there was also DLC packs where you could play as Robin, and I don't think Red Hood was until Night.
If they have the Penguin be the final boss, the main villain against Batman and anything, I don't want it to be the Penguin. I want it to be Danny DeVito from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I want it to be Frank Reynolds. I want him to be the final boss you have to fight.
All right, so there's your Suicide Squad news. All right, so in a topic that I thought should have been topic of the week, but I'm gonna save a topic of the week for something else. Coming from InsiderGaming.com and written by Mike Straw. Sony's CEO says PlayStation's gaming future will be on PC, mobile, and cloud. As the leading console maker in the world, Sony is in a special spot with the PlayStation 5 and its gaming business. The console sales have continued to rise since its 2020 release, and the PlayStation division has been working towards keeping its hold on top in the gaming industry in the future. What the future holds, however, is anyone's guess. In an interview with Norges Bank Investment Management, the Sony CEO talked about where he sees future of gaming for PlayStation going in both in the short and near term. He says, Yoshida says, this is not Shuhei. This is the other one. Kenishiro was his name? Yes. Okay. Wherever it is computing, users will be able to play their favorite games seamlessly. While the PlayStation will remain our core product, we will expand our gaming experiences to the PC, mobile, and cloud. Speaking of the cloud and non-traditional gaming, Yoshida was asked about the movement towards subscription services for gaming. It's something that, while he sees the value in, he doesn't believe it's a catch-all solution for gamers. Quote, people play games, usually play one game at a time. So the all-you-can-eat type of games that may not be valuable compared to the streaming services. So we'll kind of have a balance or hybrid service on the PlayStation Network, a subscription as well as a pay per content. End quote. Lastly, he was asked more recently about the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard and how it will impact the direction of PlayStation. Without really giving much away, Yoshida said that Sony will continue to work to give the PlayStation members the ability to play the best games with the best options. Quote, healthy competition is necessary for the gaming industry to grow, and as Sony, we believe it's important to provide gamers with different options to play. So we will continue our efforts to achieve this. Benny, we'll go to you first. How do you feel about Sony moving off of the traditional, where the console people, I mean, obviously the years past, they've been branching out. They're starting to do the PC. But how do you feel about Sony in general, just moving off of the traditional consoles?
I think that unfortunately it's a matter of time. I think we're going to get to that point where everybody's going to want to go that route as far as the companies making the hardware, because it's less overhead for them. But I think we need consoles, especially people that grew up with it, and the idea of physical media, like that's another topic. But I really think that it's going to end up coming back. Like if they decide to stop making hardware, they're going to end up having to come back because people are going to want it. People are already seeing the idea of not physically owning your content, in the words of Ubisoft saying that, and knowing that even with movie media, you have stuff that'll be on a streaming site. They could pull it down on a whim, and then you don't have access to it anymore. So the idea of not making physical consoles along with physical media, it's a dangerous slope. I know that the world is evolving in that route. I'm not really ready for it personally.
So you're still a physical game type guy?
I do a lot digital, primarily with the review aspect and stuff. When
right.
Back in the day we used to, but I want to Switch. The Switch console allowed me to want to kind of have a tangible physical collection, if you will. But like Xbox, I have 0 games, and I don't even care to. PlayStation, I have a lot of PS4, PS5 games that I'm very fond of, but I don't go out and buy a game every week like we used to. But to have the option, I think, is important.
All right, Alex, before I go to you, I just want to tie it a little bit. If anybody that Saber says they suck like Microsoft, here recently in the last couple of days, I found a new way to clip our podcast and put it onto our social medias. So I've been putting a lot of videos on TikTok and YouTube Shorts, and they've been blowing up. And one of the big videos that has blown up is where I asked Daryl, who I did a Patreon episode with, patreon.com/provengamer. You can subscribe for as low as $1. I asked a question, but I kind of knew my answer, and I kind of felt like I was asking the wrong question at the same time, which was, me and Alex got into a conversation last week about physically owning your games. Like if you went out to the store and you bought the new Call of Duty, if something happened to that disc, with the whole we don't own the game, we essentially were buying a license to play that game. But if you went to GameStop, got the new Call of Duty disc, and something happens to that disc, you just can't call up Activision and say, hey, listen, I have a license for your game. I've already paid for it. Send me a code or give me a free disc. You have to go back to GameStop or Best Buy or wherever and physically buy that disc again and give them another $70. And now essentially you own 2 licenses. So I asked the question, should we be at the point where you go to the store, you buy the new Call of Duty, once you put it into your system, should a digital version of that game automatically unlock? Now, on top of that, I said, I think yes, but I would lean towards no, because once you put that game into the system and you get the digital version of the game, what's to stop you from taking a game to go back to GameStop and saying, hey, I don't want this anymore, and you basically got the game for free? So my question to you is, should we be at a point where you're going to buy physical media, and because we don't own the game, so to speak, should we get a digital version of the game that we have forever since we own that license?
You want me or Alex?
You. Okay. Me and Alex had this conversation last week.
Okay, cool. No, so realistically, I think that Sony's tried that route in the sense when you buy a disc, you think about it, you put the disc in, you're getting a digital aspect of it, but the disc is there to validate.
Right.
And the reason the disc is to validate is because they don't want you to return it. I think with the prices going up as they go, they should consider a similar option, but I'm going to use a different physical media as an option, as an example, better yet. Everybody know what this is? Everybody old like me? This is an audio cassette.
Wow.
Okay? I still buy physical audio cassettes from bands that I love. So what a lot of these do is they'll do a pre-order before it comes out so they can get it printed, and they give you an option. If you pre-order it, you get a digital version of it along with your physical. And I think in the music side, a big part of it is primarily due to not everybody has a cassette player, and it's more for nostalgia. Like, I have a boombox, I listen to it. But giving a console, let's say Ubisoft, the kings of making games $100 for a deluxe version to let you play 3 days earlier, and like minuscule pre-order bonuses. $110. You get a digital license and you get the physical copy. You can revoke that license whenever you want because you do that anyway. Give that option. You're making your little extra money. You're giving somebody another copy of the game. Yeah. But the problem is that resale market of selling it. Maybe the value of those games drop. So if you go to GameStop for a game that you get both versions, it's only worth $15 instead of $25 to kind of, break that incentive of keeping the disc, if that makes sense.
All right, Alex, back to you, the article in hand. How do you feel about Sony moving away from the traditional, we release our games on console, and then now branching out to the PC and the mobile world?
Well, the branching out to the mobile and the PC world has already happened. I mean, let's be real, that can coexist with the console market. Honestly, if Sony wanted to, with VR and all, and Sony might be spraying themselves too thin when it comes to certain things, like trying to do live service, trying to do all their game of the year story-driven games they've always done. But if they wanted to do PC, if they wanted to do, because they're just putting the same games on PC that they developed for the PS5, if they want to do mobile, they could do all this stuff. But so there doesn't necessarily need to be a death of the console. I think it's always going to be important for people to have, whether it's all digital or not, it's going to be important for people to have that box in their living room. Because for a lot of people, like, yes, there are TVs, smart TVs that have like apps and subscription services built into them. But you can, go to YouTube or Paramount or Hulu or Netflix through your video game console. So it's also a gateway to other media and not just playing video games. So I think it's always going to be important to have that box around, just at the end of the day, just have that physical box. Even I think, even though I don't want a bunch of discs and stuff like taking up room, having a console is a lot different. It's like, it's one thing. It's, in one area, it's not taking up a lot of room. It's not hard to move. Even the PlayStation 5 is a little bit of a chunky boy. It's a little heavy, but still, like, it's not ever going to be a huge burden to get around as like, taking boxes and moving boxes and boxes of video games are. So, part of this strategy they've already done, moving completely away from consoles, I don't want to see that. I don't think they will, especially, depending upon, I mean, I get it. They traditionally have had to sell consoles at a loss just to get people to buy software. So hopefully that's not the thing pushing them away from consoles, because I do think it's important to still have a physical thing that you play on in your home, whether it's PC, whether it's Switch, whether it's Xbox, whether it's PlayStation. So to think that they're moving completely away from that, while I'm not shocked, or that they might try that in the future, I certainly don't want that.
All right, moving on to our next topic, which is coming from thegamer.com, written by, oh Lord, Alex, you had to find the article with a weird name. Rhiannon Bevan. Microsoft.
Well, good thing you just told that person they have a weird name.
I'm sure they're not going to listen to this. Microsoft has reportedly shut down its division for physical game releases as part of yesterday's mass layoffs. If you don't know, Microsoft went through some layoffs following the merger.
1,900 people.
Yes, which is approximately just under 10% of their overall staff. All right, before we get into this, Saber says, here's the overall problem. Let's say you do something that social media doesn't like, and they take away your operation abilities for said game or said system. Okay. Okay, so back to the story. This comes as an increase in number of new releases opt to release digitally, skipping a physical launch entirely. While this doesn't mean that Xbox is leaving the physical games market, it was later noted that these roles could be outsourced. It suggests that such releases will be deprioritized. This would fit in with Microsoft's strategy in this generation, which seen heavily pushed on its digital-only Xbox Series S model, as well as an increased focus on bolstering its Game Pass library. News of Microsoft shutting down its department for physical releases comes from Windows Central journalist Jess Corden, who has shed some light on yesterday's layoffs will be felt. This is some tweets. Microsoft has also shut down departments dedicated to bringing Xbox games to physical retail, which, if you've seen the digital-only Xbox console leaks, as well as you can get an idea of Microsoft is going from there. Multiple sources tell me that Microsoft is laying off the entire internal customer support teams for ABK Games, that'd be Activision Blizzard King. To save a few, Microsoft will outsource the rest to external companies abroad. ABK was one of the few game publishers with high-quality internal customer support team. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Benny, I'll go to you first. We literally were just talking about physical versus digital. Just because Microsoft, as the article says, just because Microsoft laid off their internal department doesn't mean this can't be outsourced. But I'll ask this: Does this give you a sign of? I mean, we all know we're going to a digital-only future, but is this a sign that Microsoft is pushing the agenda a lot quicker than maybe gamers are ready for?
I think 100%. I think the biggest challenge here is knowing that people are still buying physical media. I think from what I can see, I feel that maybe with Microsoft, people are probably not buying their physical media as much. Because, I mean, that's a big thing. If you go to a GameStop, you compare the library on the wall, the Microsoft section is usually significantly smaller.
Yeah.
And that's before this announcement. So it's not that people don't want it, it's they're not necessarily buying because they've already planted that seed of you need Game Pass, you don't need anything else. And once that kind of came into play, for the same reason with me, I just stopped buying Xbox games. You're giving me Gears of War, you're giving me Halo. I don't need to have a disc. You can go see Best Buy selling it for $2. They can't give it away half the time. So what does that show in the value with their product? See, I think if Sony made the same announcement the same day, the conversation would be very different.
See, one of the ongoing comments that I keep saying on the show, and I think, Alex, you kind of parrot a little bit, and I know Daryl parrots as well, is I cannot understand how Xbox is making money when they are giving away their top tier games for free day one on Game Pass. You spend, 10, 20, 30, $40 billion developing the game, and then you're giving it away for essentially $9. Because, I mean, let's be real, most hardcore gamers, they get a brand new game, a month is more than enough time to beat that game. So you're basically giving the game away for $10. So I can't see how Microsoft is making money. Me personally, I will not own an Xbox. But if I wanted to go play Xbox right now, there's a free download on my Samsung TV that gives me the Xbox app that all I got to do is pair a DualSense controller to, buy Game Pass for $1, and I can play Xbox games on my TV. No console needed. So at this point, why do I need to buy a physical copy of the game when you're giving me everything, including your internal games, your first party games for basically nothing on digitally?
I will definitely say one thing when it comes to Xbox, being somebody that has all the consoles, I play it all, but the Xboxes are the ones that are definitely played the least. But the other aspect that I look at is I compare it a lot when I have discussions with my wife about physical media and streaming. We live in a world where we have so much at the snap of a finger. Just like in the old days with cable TV, we used to always say, "Oh, we have 1,000 channels and there's nothing to watch."
Right.
When you have Game Pass, you have the PlayStation Plus and all these other options. Even with the Nintendo subscription, you have a plethora of software ability to play all these games. But how many of those games are you actually going to play? for me with the Game Pass, I've had less incentive to play because I'm like, oh, it's on Game Pass. I can play it whenever. I think the last game that I was truly excited for on Game Pass and that I actually played was Carrier, which was a while ago. Like there's all these other games, like Hi-Fi Rush came out. I'm like, all right, cool. They're not driving me to blow the dust off my Xbox and play them regularly.
You mean you didn't want to play Redfall?
Yeah. What happened?
I was going to say, you telling me you didn't want to play Redfall?
Come on. We're not going to have that talk, right? Please, get out of here. But yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example. You have games by some great studios too, and I think that merger created a catalyst of like, hey, it's not necessarily the developer, but something's changing. Arcane has put out some amazing games. That was not one of them. So, it kind of speaks to kind of what Microsoft's doing. And again, I'm not a Microsoft hater, but I think that a lot of their money is coming still from OSs and computer builds and licensing and that aspect. I don't think the Xbox is that infrastructure that they're making that money on, other than Game Pass, because they're making money off nothing. They're just regurgitating a license that they'll pull that stuff on a whim, which they do all the time. And that's another thing. If I go to put my Xbox on, it's been 6 months, I go to play a game that's on Game Pass, I see a big exclamation point, says it's not on Game Pass anymore.
Right.
I'm like, oh, guess I'll never play that. So, free up space.
All right, Alex, you wanted to add this to the agenda. The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a hot topic from, within our community, and I think this is a big step for Microsoft to take. I mean, you look at, go into a lot of retailers. Best Buy's got a tiny video game space. Walmart still has a decent-sized one, but, Target has almost nothing. You can tell the retail, market for video games is shrinking. So for some company like Microsoft that is focusing so much on cloud, I mean, it kind of makes sense for them to take the step when so many retailers are backing off. They're like, well, why are we going to print discs if, all these retailers are kind of backing out? And then let's be honest, most of these companies would love to see GameStop die. They don't want GameStop around. So why would they continue to print discs to help GameStop in any way? If they kind of feel like, I guess this is the time to put the foot to the throttle, where you've got retailers are dumping physical disc and GameStop is dying. So why not, throw fuel on that fire and push people further into digital by doing something like this? You've already got people hooked on Game Pass. You've already got them subscribed. Like Benny said, you don't necessarily feel like you have to go out and buy their physical media because, it's just their subscription service and it's so easy to use and so widespread. So Microsoft is just taking this point in time to push the agenda further, because these companies, Sony too, they don't want to have to pay to do discs anymore. They don't want to have to, pay. They don't have to have retail space where the retail middleman takes a cut. They want to sell direct to consumers. They don't want to have to deal with trucking physical discs around. So cut out the middleman, sell direct to consumers. That's really, and not just in video games, but in a lot of businesses, selling direct to your consumers is the best way for these companies to go, because it just cuts out so many expenses. So it doesn't surprise me, but again, I feel like this is an incredibly important moment, because now that Microsoft's done it, and if people don't revolt, I mean, Benny did say that it's a little different for them than for Sony and Nintendo, and like him, I also still purchase Switch cartridges. There's something about owning a Nintendo system and buying physical cartridges that I just have not yet ready to let go of yet. But if Microsoft gets away with this and people don't complain too much, maybe in the near term, Sony does it too. I mean, I think Benny's right where they can't do it as quickly as Microsoft, but this is the first of a really big development and another step in the direction of all digital. And I think you're going to have a lot of people, kick up dust about it, complain about it, worry about it. And I understand the worry, but also I guess Microsoft looks at it, it's like, hey, what are you going to stop playing games? You've been playing games your entire life. You're not going to stop playing games. Some people may. But I think for a lot of people, that's just bluster saying that. I think they're going to keep playing games regardless. It's just going to be a different form. And they may spend less on games. They may not buy a digital copy of games because they don't feel like they own it. They may just buy into a subscription service and play whatever they want, or, whatever's on the service. So, but yeah, Microsoft to do this, not surprising. And I think a lot of people saw, a lot of layoffs coming once the Activision Blizzard deal went through, and they integrated a lot of those people into Microsoft. But, Microsoft probably sees this as the perfect time to do this because it's, you, like I said, you walk into a retail store, game sections are sad. Like they're, my Best Buy by my work doesn't even sell DVDs anymore. They're like, I know they're giving up, physical media, but even a month, 2 months ago, that Best Buy had no DVDs. So it's just, go to these sections and there's just nothing. So why is Microsoft can continue to print out all these discs and send them to where? Nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it was revealed. I think about a month or two ago, they announced that Best Buy was going to stop selling physical DVDs and stuff like that. I think in today's day and age,
Well, and hey, WWE announced that they're not going to do physical discs anymore.
I didn't see that, but I mean, in this day and age, with everybody having, all these streaming services and whatnot, it really doesn't make sense anymore. Like, no lie, and an hour before we were supposed to record, Sweet Mama D came to me and says she wanted to watch Detective Pikachu on Hulu. And she went on, went to pop it on, and it came up and says, "Oh, it's not available without a live TV or an active TV subscription." And I went, "I think I own that." And I went on Vudu, and sure enough, I owned it. And now she's sitting in my living room watching Detective Pikachu. So, I mean, it in this day and age where I could just sit, like, Sweet Mama D came to me and says, "I want to watch this," it's as simple as a couple clicks. And then we're watching the movie. I don't have to go to this. Here, see a Sweet Mama D pop it in. Say hi.
Hi.
It's as simple as, okay, you want to watch Detective Pikachu? Well, now, okay, let me drive over to Best Buy. Oh, they don't have a copy. Okay, let me go over to Target. Oh, they don't have a copy. Like, I'm wasting all this time driving around to go find the physical media when it's simple as go click, click, click. Here you go watch it. I just see that as, and the best thing, like, with physical or digital media for me is, if I want to buy Suicide Squad, I don't have to worry about if it's sold out of my local GameStop.
Don't buy Suicide Squad. I just had to throw it in there. Sorry.
I got an unhealthy obsession with Harley Quinn. Sorry.
Yeah, we know. But the real danger, Tricky, is that people will point out is that
they could pull the license anytime.
But also you don't have a full library. It's not like you can just go watch anything on these services. You can watch what they have on there, which is, granted a lot, but you may not be able to, go watch some obscure television show. One of the TV shows I still have on DVD is Titus. You probably can't find that anywhere but YouTube. Now I guarantee none of the streaming services have that. So you may come into a situation where there's some movie you want to watch or something like that. Think about all the shows that have been made. Think about all the movies that have been made. You're not going to find it on any subscription service. So, I mean, there is that danger in all of this, but I mean, look, we as one person aren't going to stop or we as three people or you as one person, we're not going to stop this move to digital because, like I said, these companies want to sell directly to consumer. They do not want to deal with physical media anymore. It's painfully obvious. And stores also, they don't want to deal with physical media anymore. So, I mean, what are we going to do? We going to, tie ourselves to a physical media production center so they don't destroy it or something?
Is it TIDUS, Titus?
TITUS.
Like for
Stacy Keach's in it.
For the Christopher Titus show? Is that what you're looking at?
Well, the Titus was from back in the early 2000s, late 90s. I don't know if it's the same one, Christopher Titus show. It was just called Titus.
Yes. You can actually stream it on Amazon right now. Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. But, okay, you probably can't find everything you're going to watch all the time on these services.
I just did it to be a smart ass. I wasn't trying to prove you wrong.
Well, no, I mean, I'm glad now that if anyone wants to watch it, they know where to watch it. But, yeah, I mean, you can't – new things. Like, what was the thing Sweet Mama D wanted to watch?
Detective Pikachu.
Okay, they've only made one of those movies, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. I mean, we watched it. It was pretty good. So, I knew they came out with a new game recently. I think there's a second movie in the works, but something relatively new, you're not going to have a problem with. But again, these companies aren't going to provide an entire back catalog for you to watch. So that is one aspect where, yes, the convenience is nice, but can you find everything?
I mean,
Again,
No, I was gonna say you're not wrong in the aspect of you're not gonna find everything, but I think as time goes on, if there's enough of a call for it, you will see these things pop back up. I mean, I don't like one of the shows that I liked. It only had a season was the Chicago Code, and I talked about this with Yield and Matt on when we're doing the Mandalorian episodes. Is because the actor Jennifer Beal is in that, and I've always had a crush on Jennifer Beal. I think she's really hot. But I actually was introduced to her in the show The Chicago Code, which I thought was a good show. I can't find that anywhere. So you're right, but another show that I've been clamoring to watch is The Commish. Do you guys remember The Commish with Michael Chiklis?
I do.
For years I wanted to watch that show, and all of a sudden it popped up on I think it was Netflix, and I was like, oh great, I get to watch it. I want to watch Matlock, I want to watch Perry Mason, but Columbo, but it's.
There is an app for a lot of those, believe it or not.
There is.
Tubi, and it's free.
We're
Cheap
not,
plug.
We're not advertising that. All right, but yeah, I mean, I get your point. All right,
If I can say one thing, if you don't mind, I definitely like the idea of having that middle ground, and I think it's very subjective to everybody. So it depends on what you're into, and like Alex said, there's definitely content out there that is potentially not digital yet. And I'm one of those guys that likes a lot of old B movies, and I have a lot of DVDs and a lot of Blu-rays and even HD DVDs, and a lot of that stuff has not made it to digital. So for me, the idea of them coming digital, like I've seen it appear, and then you'll see a license go away. So that's that kind of gray area, and it depends on what you're into. If you're into just the commercial stuff, you have a good chance of having accessibility to most of it at some point.
See, and I'll counter that with a joke. There's a lot of things that like Dallas Cowboys wants to watch, like their their last Super Bowl victory, but unless they own a VCR, they can't watch those.
But I own a VCR.
You do. If your VCR breaks right now, you got no option to watch any of that.
I have a backup.
Yeah.
We could do this all day.
Yeah, we could. All right.
The man told us he still buys cassette tapes. Or you think he's not prepared?
Listen, I'm just saying, to the point, like if people are saying, I want to play, the old school games. If your system breaks and the only way you can play that game is physically, good luck trying to find it. Like nowadays, like NES games, same thing. Like unless you can find the original NES. And
here's a really good example I thought of during the week that I'm like, man, I should have said that on the show. So, and it just shows you how there is still some modicum of control over like all digital media, like video games, movies, whatnot. You go and you buy a dining room table and chairs, right, at a store. You take that home. You now can take those dining room tables and chairs anywhere you go. No restrictions. No one's going to tell you, no, you can't move into this house with those. You can't take these across these state lines. Those are yours. You own those.
Correct.
You don't have the same freedom with video games. You can't take that video game anywhere. You can't play it on anything. So that was kind of my example. It's like, oh, yeah, I own this chair. No one's going to tell me what to do with this chair. That video game that I bought for the Switch, I can only play it on the Switch.
You know who's going to tell you you can't do anything with that chair? Ashley. Gonna tell you get rid of that ugly chair.
What if she helped pick? Yeah, I'll have she helped me pick out that chair. So you're shitting on her opinion now too.
I'm just saying.
Oh, now you're backpedaling.
I'm not backpedaling anything. I'm just saying.
Now your coward tail is showing.
I'm just saying that when it comes to furniture, when I moved in with my significant other, a lot of my furniture went to the wayside. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we know who the dominant person in that relationship is, Tricky. There was never any question about that.
All right, so Benny comes to the point of the show where when we have our first-time guest on the show, I ask them a question. We're going to go to a list of questions. Some people love this. Some people hate this. I want your opinion on this soundbite.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
Love it or hate it?
I'm sad that I know it on both aspects. I know where it's stemming from, and I know what it is, and it's fine.
Some people love it. Some people hate it. Speaking of hate, first list of the questions come from Daryl. Daryl wants to know, why does the WWE continue to hinder Jinder? I replied by saying they didn't even let him rumble, which was true. Yield says that's because he sucks. V comes in and says, sir, this is a gaming podcast, not wrestling, in which Daryl decides to reword his question and says, okay, why does WWE continue to hinder Jinder in WWE 2K24, available on PlayStation 5 this March? Nice plug there, Daryl. And then Holbrook goes, finally, somebody has the guts to point this out. And then V says, I mean, Matt shuts down and doesn't talk or react at all. Gamers unite. So, Benny, I don't know if you're a wrestling fan. I think you are. Why does the WWE continue to hinder Jinder?
I just think, full disclosure, I don't watch wrestling like I used to. I was a big fan for a while. I think it's very stale for the most part.
Oh, it's gotten so much better.
But I think with Jinder, it's just, I don't know. They haven't found the thing that works for him. And I don't think he's found a thing that works for him.
I will just say this. They need to bring back, oh, God, why did I just blank on his name?
The Bollywood Boys?
No. Oh, God, what was his name? He had a I Have Kids thing.
Heath Slater?
Yeah, they need to bring him back because he's literally the only member of the three-man band that's not won a title yet.
How is that going to not hinder Jinder? That's not helping the question, Tricky. You're giving a title to Heath Slater.
No, I'm just saying every member of the three-man band has to win the title. Drew McIntyre
won. They're not putting any heavyweight title on Heath Slater. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, you say that, but they put the heavyweight title on Jinder.
You do remember why they did that, right?
I know why they did it.
They were trying to
get into that market,
pump up business in India. So like, hey, Jinder.
All right, so why is WWE hindering Jinder, Alex?
I mean, he has done well in spots. I thought he's done some good mic work recently, but he's not the world's greatest wrestler. He's not a guy that they've ever gotten behind. See, the problem was for the longest time, they basically positioned him as a jobber. He's never, until like they wanted to do that push where he beat Randy Orton at Backlash and won the title. He's been positioned in the low card, not a guy who's going to go out and win a ton, and then they, try to flip the switch, and you can't do that. Now, they presented him well, but still no one believed the in-ring part was real. So he, for too long, he was just a guy who was just lower mid-card, and, what are you going to do with that?
All right, back to the video game questions. V wants to know, if you could be one video game character, which one would you be? Alex, we'll start with you first.
Mega Man.
Okay.
Because I got a fucking arm cannon, and no one gonna fuck with me. And
except Dr. Wily.
And I can, take over. Well, how well has that worked out for Dr. Wily? Because I don't think he's won yet. But you can take on other powers and like shoot like metal blades out of your gun. You get shield power ups. Like Mega Man's the fucking man. He's old school. I grew up with Mega Man, so who else am I gonna pick?
All right, Betty.
Gonna have to say Alucard, a man that's lived forever, will continue to live forever, smart enough to stay alive, and kind of picks the right cards and chooses sides when he needs to. Has a plethora of weapons at his arsenal, and has had some of the greatest battles, in my opinion, in video game history.
See, this is weird to me because I don't really want to be a video game character.
Tricky wants to be Joker so he can get close to Harley Quinn.
I was just going to say that.
I mean,
you can say Arkhamverse, then it's a game, and you kind of fall in that category.
See, okay. Here's the thing, and I tried to teach Sweet Mama D this. Like, nobody should ever idolize Harley Quinn because that girl is dealing with some serious Stockholm syndrome, and that's never a good thing. If we're gonna cross comic books into video game characters, I think I'd say Iron Man. I want to be Tony Stark. His intelligence, his money. I think that's who I want to be.
Yeah, but we're talking about primarily a video game character. Get video game character first, and not like a comic book character.
You can't criticize me for saying Iron Man when you literally just said I wanted to be Joker so I could meet near Harley Quinn. That's crossing.
I was just joking. Clearly,
that's crossing the same line, sir.
I was joking. That wasn't. It's supposed to be a real answer for you. pick. I don't care if it's one of like the captains from the division. Try to pick a video game character and not someone who has appeared in video games but was a movie character and comic book character initially.
You can do it.
See, these questions always throw me off because I don't ever.
What about Link? You don't want to be Link from Legend of Zelda?
No, because he never talks.
You know, Tricky, I've heard some people say it would be better off if you didn't talk.
Moving on to the next question. V also
What a cop-out answer. What a Gotham Knights answer right there.
You know what? I'll come back to it if I think of an answer. V wants to know which video game music series, what video game series music would you watch an orchestra play? We'll go to Benny first.
Anything Legend of Zelda or Castlevania, but I'd say Castlevania doesn't get the love that it deserves.
My answer would actually be Zelda. Alex?
I would also like to see Zelda, and there actually are, like Zelda reorchestrated, there are things out there that are done that you can listen to, like Gerudo Valley, which always sounds phenomenal. Song of Storms, all that kind of stuff in orchestra form. But, to deviate, so Tricky and I don't have the same answer.
Actually, I'm going to change my answer.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Well, we all kind of had the same answer, but...
I thought of
Well, Tricky, what do you change your answer to?
God of War. When
all right.
I gotta admit, when they did the God of War 2018 reveal, that orchestra playing, that shit
awesome.
got my blood pumping. That was fucking cool. So the God of War 2018 on like that mythology.
All right. Well, I've been listening to a lot of on YouTube, a lot of artists do like updated version of the old Mega Man songs, like with like bands doing entire like electric guitars, drums for like Turtles in Time, the old Mega Man games. So like while I would like to hear classical versions of those, I do think that kind of how I've been listening to those songs, like metal version of those songs, have really like kind of the best format for those because they're just like they get your blood pumping, they get your heartbeat up, they get you, ready to run through brick walls. But as far as like orchestral, I saw video games live where they did, I think, at least one or two Banjo-Kazooie songs, and they were really fucking good. So I'd have to say, with like Mad Monster Mansion, Free CTP, Treasure Trove Cove, Mumbo's Mountain, like there's a lot of good music. Grant Kirkhope did a lot of good stuff in Banjo-Kazooie, so I'd like to see orchestral Banjo-Kazooie.
All right. Before we move on to our topic of the week, I have to catch up on chat because apparently I've been ignoring it. So some of these questions or some of these statements are probably going to be, dating back to a couple topics. These all come from Saber. Saber says the only subscription service that has ever been successful is Netflix, and that's because they were the first in and best dressed. I don't know that Netflix is the only one successful, but I think they are the best streaming service out there.
I mean, I would say Hulu's very successful.
I would also say Amazon Prime is successful too.
But Amazon Prime's weird in that you also get the streaming music and like the delivery bonuses and all that kind of stuff. So that doesn't necessarily stand alone unless you can just buy Amazon, like the streaming television or music, or excuse me, movie and TV service on its own.
You can buy this things, and it also integrates into like Movies Anywhere, so you can get it on Vudu and all that other stuff. So yeah. Saber says they remove movies all the time because they lose their license. Sing like with the Prince of Egypt. Okay. He says even if you own the digital version, the whatever you download from concludes license.
Yeah, so basically Vudu does it too, where a license can get lost and they'll just strip the movie from your categories even if you paid for it, because it's happened. I've seen it.
He says you could lose a license to it, so that makes the point. And he says he can't find Inhumanoids. I don't even know what Inhumanoids is.
YouTube. It's an old 80s show-ish cartoon with toys.
Okay, and in reference to Jinder, he says he's not a safe worker for one. Secondly, his repertoire is a little too dangerous and he works a little too stiff. Yeah, I can say that about a lot of wrestlers, though. One of the biggest names, I think, is Brock Lesnar. Works way too stiff. All right, back to the topic of the week. This one is going to be a hot topic. Discussing a game that a lot of people feel they got bamboozled and scammed with. This is coming from IGN and written by Ryan Dinsdale. The day before, devs say game suffered from, quote, hate campaign in a bizarre statement. Fantastic. The allegedly shut down developer of the day before, say allegedly because they're just announced they're making another game, has claimed its controversial and catastrophic game suffered from a from a hate campaign in a bizarre statement published online. Fantastic, which supposedly closed its doors just a few days after the day before launch on December 7th, 2023, took to X/Twitter to address the, quote, misinformation, end quote, published online surrounding the game's development. In answering its own question of, quote, why do they say that the release game is not the same as that in the trailers and why the game was closed, Fantastic claimed it implemented everything shown in the trailers, bullshit, before admitting it did not include some minor features like parkour. It then likened the day before to, quote, the experiment where you're asked to count pink objects in a room and then recall the blue ones. The negative bias instilled by certain bloggers making money on hate-affected perceptions of the game, end quote. The day before, which promised for years to be an open-world survival massively multiplayer online game, has emerged as an extraction shooter riddled with issues. Quote, this wholly disappointing online zombie survival shooter contains essentially nothing of what was originally promised over the years leading up to its disastrous early access release, end quote. Fantastic claimed reviews improved over launch weekend as it addressed initial bugs, but, quote, the hate campaign had already inflicted significant damage, end quote. In reality, the day before his numbers dipped day by day, and by December 11th, it had entered into Steam's 10 worst reviewed games of all time. Okay, so you got to give me a second to go back to the quote because they deleted the tweet. So I have to go to their actual page. So give me 1 second.
Well, to be fair, those negative reviews were based on the game itself and not, what the news was coming about that game. Like the whole idea that that game was a hoax in the lead up to release, even as far as I think as a year out. So people were and there weren't critical reviews. I think IGN released a review once they shut down or they announced they were shutting down it. The game was what it was going to be, because I'm sure IGN's like, well, if it's not going to change, we'll just go ahead and review it. But I mean, yeah, like user scores were based on the game just being shitty and not delivering on what they promised.
All right, so I want to try to read this entire quote or official statement because it's got a lot of information here. Again, me and Daryl kind of covered this on the Patreon episode, but I think this is worth coming back. All right, so this is a lot of words, so just let me get through this real quick. This is a statement Fantastic put out. Recently, from now on, this is what they say. Recently, a lot of misinformation has emerged on the internet from supposedly anonymous sources. Fantastic provides an official response to these statements. Anonymous people allege that we deceived players. We worked hard and honestly on the game for 5 years. We didn't take a penny from users, didn't use crowdfunding, and didn't offer pre-orders. Even after the game was closed, we, together with the publisher, returned money to all players, including forcibly issuing refunds to those who did not request them. How many companies return money like that? We are not a fly-by-night company. We've been operating since 2015 and have always conducted our business honestly. Anonymous people allege that we deceived the investor. This is not true. We have a great relationship with our publisher. The closure of the day before did not affect our partnership. Since 2021, we've had a New Zealand venture called Myota Fantastic and a successful game, Prop Night, which has sold almost 1 million copies. Prop Night also co-financed the development of the day before. Anonymous former employees tell different stories about the development. We're unsure whether these employees are real or not. We've had an excellent relationship with our team. Despite being a single indie company with a limited budget, we assisted employees with relocation and healthcare and helped some of them buy equipment and their mortgages and other personal matters. We offered an extra non-working day off each month, vacation pay, and timely salary payments, along with the option to work remotely. Our low turn rate and the fact that half those people who left returned to the company demonstrate a positive work environment. 100% of the team did everything they could to make the day before a success. Who made money on the day before? Certain bloggers made huge money by creating false content with huge titles from the very beginning to gain views and followers. Exploiting the lack of information about the game's development, their actions triggered a gold rush among content creators due to the game's pre-release popularity. And finally, why do they say that the release game is not the same as that in the trailers, and why was the game closed? We implemented everything shown in the trailers, from home improvements and a detailed world to off-road vehicles. We only disabled a few minor features like parkour due to bugs planned to include them in the final release. Hold on. Remember the experiment where you asked to count pink objects in a room and then recall the blue ones? You won't remember any. It's all about focus. The negative bias instilled by certain bloggers making money on the hate-affected perceptions of the game. Look at the unbiased gameplay like Dr. Disrespect's stream at release. Despite the initial bugs and server issues, he liked the game, which we fixed later, and the game received improved reviews over the weekend. Unfortunately, the hate campaign had already inflicted significant damage. By the way, after sales closed, many people wrote to us that bloggers had deceived them and that they actually liked the game and they asked for access. We also heard petitions were created to continue development, and on the black market, the game's price exceeded $200, and some even began to make their own mods. We're grateful to all senders of emails who expressed support and appealed not to give up and continue to continue to work. Finally, we encourage you to subscribe to our social networks to know what will happen next. So that was a whole lot of bullshit.
Fuck this company, because this is the company that said they were going out of business, and now they're making another game. You can't believe anything this company says. And any game they put out, I don't know why they would expect anyone would buy it. So everything they just said was fucking bullshit.
Okay, what I said to Daryl is the only way, and I mean the only way Fantastic has a way to redeem themselves at this point is if you're going to make another game, go make your game. Be open and honest from the start, exactly what's going on. Let us know if you're getting in over your head. Don't bullshit us. I said, and when it comes to the day before, the best thing they could fucking do if they're going to continue to make this game for the next year, shut up, make the game. Come out in a year, year and a half, 2 years, whatever. Come out, announce, hey, this is our trailer, this is our game, and it's out right now, and it is absolutely free. And this game will remain free for a year period, 2 year period, whatever the case may be. You play it, you tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, we fix it. We're going to sell microtransactions to try to bring some money in, but only buy them if you are happy with what we're doing. In a year time, 2 years time, we're going to start to charge for this game. But in a manner of earning back goodwill, we're going to release this game for free, and you can play it, and you owe us not a dime. Let us earn back your trust. That is the only way, in my eyes, that Fantastic has any chance of redeeming themselves. Now, with that being said, I want to comment on something before. I normally let you guys go first, but this has got me heated because they're coming at the bloggers. Okay? They're coming at the content creators, and all three of us, in some way, shape, or form, are content creators. Okay? If your game was shit, your game was shit. And you cannot expect a blogger, okay? And I'm not speaking for Alex or Benny here. I'm speaking for myself here. If you want me to review your game, you want me to give you coverage on your game, I have to be honest in what I'm playing, what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing. Otherwise, nobody's going to give a fuck what I have to say, because they're going to say, oh, he's being paid off by Fantastic, or he's being paid by IGN to write a good review. No, I have to be honest, because if that game is shit, and then Benny goes and plays it and goes, well, I listened to Tricky. Tricky said he liked it. Oh, now I would just wasted $60, $80, whatever they paid for the game. Benny's never going to come back to me to listen to my opinion, because I just made him waste $80 on a bullshit game, and then he's never going to play that fucking game. So don't blame us because your game was shit. If Fantastic from the start was like, hey, we're in over our heads. We're a small independent studio. We're trying to give you a AAA game. We're failing behind. Gamers understand that. Gamers go, okay, go get the help you need. Release your game. How many times, Alex, have we said on this show, you got to delay your game? Delay your game. Make it right. It may suck, but we will wait. Okay? But the biggest fucking red flag that I had with this game is when they announced 3 days before the fucking release date, hey, we're delaying this game because we're going from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5. Are you fucking kidding me? No developer in the world is going to wait that late in the game to go, hey, we're going to move up to we're going to completely change the engine of the game. And then when you come back a year later and you show us what you worked on in Unreal 5, it looks worse than what you had the first time around. So, this company is bullshit. But if they have any chance to redeem themselves, that's the way they need to do it. I'm sorry.
They ran out of money, so they had to close in air quotes. So they ran out of money, so they couldn't do anything else to help make the day before better. But now all of a sudden they pop back up, complaining and whining, and they're making another game. Yeah, all that checks out.
I'm sorry.
Why don't you give Benny the floor, because I think we both kind of given our thoughts on this.
Yeah. I'm sorry for a rant, but this shit just pisses me off. Benny, floor is yours.
No, I think it's it's one of those examples of smoke and mirrors. We've had games that have done this in the past, where we get an amazing, pre-rendered trailer. They insist it's in-game. Game comes out, looks nothing like it. I hate to say it again, Ubisoft is notorious for that. We've seen that with The Division. We saw it with other games before that. We saw it with Killzone 2. But, at the end of the day, this was a drastic departure from what we were originally shown. But the other factor is the skepticism was there before the game came out. So, they're thinking that people were having all this hate for it. People were questioning them before you put anything out. And all you did was, prove that that's exactly what was happening. It wasn't the product that you were selling it to be. The fact that the genre alone doesn't match what it was supposed to be, it went from open world to, extraction shooter, right then and there, you're alienating people that are not into extraction shooters. Like, hey, I've been following your game for a year. I was looking for an MMO. This is not an MMO. Right then and there, there's going to be hate. The other side of that, as a content creator, I see where a lot of that engagement of the negative side of things kind of, can bring in a lot of traffic and things like that. But as a developer, if you spent the amount of time that you did on it, depending on who's involved and how the logistics work, try to fix what you can. If you feel like it's a lost cause, say that you feel like it's a lost cause, and don't just close shop and not give a reason other than we ran out of money. Because I feel like at the heart of a developer, you're taking that to the grave. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into that game. If you knew it was rocky from the beginning, transparency is very big in the game industry, and we see it just from the visual presentation. If you're going to present a pre-rendered video and not tell everybody it's pre-rendered, expect the backlash that you're going to get from any content creator, any publication. So it's a tough situation. Yes, I think we live in a different world now with social media and TikTok and the short form videos of a lot of the joke memes that have become this game. It definitely fueled the fire, 100%. I would say mostly rightfully so, but the developer didn't do much to kind of stand their ground, if you will. So that's where I feel like, they shot themselves in the foot. And if they're going to come out with another game, it's already a shady practice. I don't think there's really any buying back unless they change the name of the studio and, try to get people to not do it until somebody does their homework and realizes, oh, this used to be fantastic,
See, when it comes to Fantastic, I don't think they set out to scam us. I think they set out to give us the game that they initially promised us, and they got in over their heads. And instead of being open and honest, saying, hey, listen, we're not going to be able to deliver what we initially said we were going to deliver. And instead of doing that, they stayed behind the scenes and they're like, oh, yeah, we're still giving you everything, because they were trying to overpromise and they knew they were going to underdeliver. If they would have went to somebody and said, hey, listen, we need help, I think I would say 5 years would be just like excessive. But if they came out and said, hey, listen, it's not shaping up the way it's supposed to be, it's going to be at least 5 years before we're able to release this game, I think people would understand. I think people would have checked out and probably just didn't give a shit anymore. And then maybe 5 years later, okay, you got my interest back. But you got to be open and honest, and I don't think they did. Now, did they ultimately scam us? Yes. Are they a piece of shit for doing that? Absolutely. But I don't think they intended to do this. They were a small independent studio that got it over their heads. The problem is they weren't honest with us. And that really fucking sucks, because I was looking forward to this game. From that initial trailer, I was all in on this game. And then even in the initial trailer, there was no word that would come into consoles. And I was like, you know what? This might be the PC game I play. And then news came out, oh, we're going to come to consoles. Great. And then just shit started rolling downhill.
Yeah.
And this is no different from, you guys remember that PS5 demo Abandoned?
Oh, boy.
When was the last time we heard about that shit?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
The demo that was literally a trailer?
That wasn't even a trailer. It was like, oh, we're going to release content on this. I have the Abandoned app on my PS5. Every month or so, I pop in to see if there's anything. There's nothing.
It's horrible.
Alex, I know you said your little piece so far, but do you want to add anything?
My advice to the studio is... Oh, sorry, I had to sneeze there. My advice is clearly... maybe they did intend at the beginning to make just a massive game. Their vision outstripped what they were capable of. Go back to making smaller games. Just worry about quality. Make a smaller game that you can deliver on, and that people don't have to spend a lot of money to buy it on. $10, $20. Don't get any higher than that, because if you're going to ask people to spend $50, $60, $70 on your next game, who's going to take that leap? I mean, maybe some people don't know about this controversy. It's possible not everyone spends all their time looking up video game news on the internet or listening to video game podcasts. I get it, but the great majority of people in the know, you're not going to get many takers. You kind of tarnish your reputation. It's not like CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red could survive the stuff they got into with Cyberpunk. They had The Witcher behind them. It's like, okay, we know what you guys can do. This was a fuck up, but they were able to get past it. This company, sure, they may have made some games before this, but nothing on the scale of what they tried to do. And after what they have done, kind of just seemingly releasing the game, praying everything worked out, and then seeing that the money wasn't flowing in, so they're like, well, we got to get out of here and run and hide for now. You've lost a lot of trust, pretty much all the trust, because you didn't have much banked in the start. So go back, worry about quality, make a smaller game, sell it for a low level entry price, and gain trust back that way. But you're not going to be able to make a big game like the day before anytime soon, if ever again.
So I'll leave this before we close out the show. Do you guys, either one of you guys, see a way that Fantastic can redeem themselves at this point? Or do they have to completely rebrand and re-release under a different name to have any
Well,
chance.
if they do try to change their name, it looks deceptive because it looks like they're trying to hide from their past. So I honestly think that you need, for the sake of transparency, I think you need to stand to the same name. Because if as soon as you find out that is the same studio just under a different name, you're like, oh, you're trying to fool me. Well, I don't like that. You fooled me once, you ain't gonna fool me twice.
But do you see a chance of them redeeming themselves, Alex?
The only way is like I said, make small games, focus on quality, and make the buy-in not that much.
All right, Benny?
So there's not that much trust that's needed. You could say, hey, this studio just, I've seen some media, some screenshots of this game. It's only $10, it's only $20, 15, whatever. I'll take a flyer on it. The critical reviews are good so far. So, hey, maybe I'll put some trust in it. But you come out with another $50, $60 game, or I shouldn't say another, because I know that the situation with the day before was a little different. But if you're trying to sell people a full-fledged game or a full-price game, you're going to get a lot of scoffs. So lower the bar to entry and just focus on quality.
All right, Benny?
I think they should strategize with marketing, and I think they need to embrace the negativity. And when they're ready to come swinging, you kind of make a marketing joke about it, Hey, remember the guys that made this game? Yeah, you all thought it sucked, and kind of like throw it back at them. It's like, yeah, you know what? We accepted it. We may not agree. Here's what we're doing now. And you know what we're going to do? For the first 2 weeks, it's going to be free. Give them a heads up, give people incentive to sign up for a newsletter, get the game free, get that incentive to watch the development if they want to show anything. But it's going to be it's a tough win for most people, even people that don't follow it, for the sake of they're going to search for the game reviews no matter where it is. And, you're going to see those 5 stars and, like on the PlayStation, it's not on console, but sometimes you get a star review without context. So, like, if they see 1s or 2s and they don't know why, people are going to get steered away. So I think they're going to need to make a presence in social media to kind of gain back winners and just, embrace the fact that they screwed up. It's kind of like coming, you have a bad breakup and you want to win that lover back, right? What are you going to do? You got to admit that you were wrong. And that's the first thing. Take ownership. Right now, they're not taking ownership on it. And I can understand that, but at the end of the day, you kiboshed the game before it had a chance to improve. So whether you could or not, you're at that point where you have to start over.
All right. Before I ask for shout-outs, Saber says in the chat, Pal World is $30. How many copies would have been sold if it was full price at $70? It would not have sold like gangbusters.
Different. Totally different.
I don't know, because it was basically like how I was introduced to Pal World was it was Pokemon with guns, and I think a lot of people would have paid $70 for that. So to his point, I think it would have sold more, but I think it still would have sold pretty damn well at $70. And we didn't go into what apparently Pal World is on the verge of maybe getting sued. So
yep.
Did you see the video they put out where they're like, oh, this is not Pikachu, it's completely different. I thought that was funny. All right, let's close out the show. We're approaching the 2-hour mark. A lot of good conversation. I think we had a good quality show. Let's do shout-outs. Betty, we'll start with you first. Do you have anything you want to shout out? And, if you want to plug your stuff again, please do.
Thank you. Yeah, just want to shout out anybody that's been following me on all the different social media platforms all these years. You can usually find me at It's Benny Rose on Twitter and all that other stuff. TikTok, I'm on here as well. My show, Press for Time, is on YouTube, also on all the different podcast platforms as The Press for Time Show with the number 4. But I want to shout out my Press for Time team, the guys that work with me, just like you have a great team here that helps you do the show. Without having the people that believe in your vision, it's very hard to get a lot of that stuff off the ground. So my co-host Tyler, who lives in Louisiana, we've been friends for about 10 years. We work together at Gaming Age. We have not met in person, so that's a goal for the year to try to meet this year. I want to shout out to him. I'm sure he's watching and supporting. And again, everybody that's been following your brand for, what is it, 15, 16 years now, if not longer.
12,
it's been
12, actually it's 12 years.
It's been awesome. It's awesome to see that you've been at it, because again, we see content creators come and go, we see platforms come and go, and knowing that back in the heyday doing the retail game. I remember when you were first launching it, and it's awesome to see that you're still at it. And, it's cool that I could see that we do a lot of the same press events and things like that. So, thank you for having me on the show. It's been a really fun time today.
All right, Alex, your shout out, sir.
Well, I want to give a shout out first and foremost to our awesome community, the fuel to the fire, this Trophy Horse. Thank you all very much for continuing to support us into 2024 and beyond. The only reason we do this show is because we have a lot of fun interacting with you all, making jokes, sharing memes, talking, serious topics, sharing the news. So again, thank you all for, just being so supportive. It's really what keeps us going. Give a shout out to Tricky as well as to our other co-host Yield and Matt. Hopefully Yield gets his computer situations figured out because it sucks not having a computer. It's hopefully he's got his internet figured out and it's just a computer this time. But no one after you paid a bunch of bills at the end of the year, no one wants to have to go and buy a new computer. So hopefully that's not the fix. And we hopefully will welcome Matt back next week, and that we'll get some notes from he and V's vacation. Hopefully they had a good time. And of course, good to meet you, Benny. Thank you for coming on the show and spending 2 hours of your time with us. It's kind of when you got a family, it's kind of a big commitment, especially when it's your free time. So we definitely want to thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate the opportunity. It's great to meet you as well.
And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend, Ashley. I love you, hon. Yeah, that is going to. I love how I did like the Scooby-Doo thing. Like I was going to add someone after Ashley. No, she's always the final one. So yeah, that's going to do me for the week.
All right, I want to give a shout out to the goddess. Shout out to Sweet Mama D, who made an appearance on the show. She's going to be on YouTube. She doesn't know that yet, though. Shout out to my niece Nina, who actually has been here for the first time while I was recording the show, and she's rolling with the punches, realizing she's got to be quiet. She doesn't know. I mean, Sweet Mama D's, ingrained into it. She knows. 12 years of doing this, but Nina didn't know that. So, shout out to listeners. Shout out to Betty. Thank you for coming on the show. I know this was not really short notice, but kind of sounds like, hey, in 2 weeks, you want to come on the show? He's like, yeah, no problem. So glad we got that all straightened out. But yeah, if there's nothing